So we're heading towards the end of the first month of the year.
Yeah.
And I thought it's be a great idea today to discuss a couple of perspectives of what's happening in the overall market. Number one, what the economists are saying. And the second thing is, what are we, you and I, as realtors, what are we seeing on the ground while we're working with our clients?
Yeah.
So I know that you attended this great event organized by the Oakville Chamber of Commerce. I think RBC hosted that.
That's right.
So just tell us what the economists are saying.
Okay, so from the economist standpoint, they look at a few different factors at a broad level. Obviously, they look at where the health of the economy is. Obviously, inflation is in everybody's mind.
Yeah.
As you know, the Bank of Canada just increased the interest rates by another 25 basis points. So we are sitting at 4.5%. But I think the indication from the Bank of Canada has now been that I think they're going to hold off further increases and just start looking at the data a lot more closely and see how the inflation numbers are actually behaving over the next few months. That's one aspect. Everybody's been talking about
inflation.
Well, everybody's been talking about inflation, but at the same time, people are also talking about this recession that might be coming. So based on the feedback from RBC in this particular scenario, they predict that the recession is going to be milder.
Okay.
And it's not going to be very long-lived.
Okay.
So it's more of like a conventional, they call it the conventional recession.
Okay.
And
what was their take on inflation?
So the take on inflation at the moment is that all the policy regulations that have been put in place over the last year or so, today's increase was I believe was the eighth interest rate increase by Bank of Canada, which is significant in a matter of literally 10 months. So from that perspective, I think we're going to start seeing the effects of that. The Bank of Canada currently forecasts that by middle of 2023, the inflation is going to be down to about 3% or so, and by the end of this year, they're probably going to be around 2.6%, and it's going to go back to sort of the pre-pandemic levels, which is around 2% by sometime in 2024. So those are good signs.
So we're heading in the right direction.
Sounds like that's what the forecast is at the moment.
Okay.
I think they're going to continue to monitor how sticky inflation is, but at the same time, I think so far the overall sentiment is that we are probably at the end of this rising interest rate environment.
Okay, and what was there any particular chat about jobs?
I think we're going to see some impacts on the job market. The job market has been extremely resilient, and I think that's been one of the challenges as well, because if the job market is strong, people are still spending money, and that does not help bring the inflation down.
Yep.
But at the same time, obviously, the inflation is eating into people's wages.
Of course.
If you look at it, right, the money doesn't go as long as it was, let's say, about a year ago, or as far out as it was about a year ago. You're getting less for spending more, right? At the end of the day, in simpler terms. So that's what the indication is, that the first 6 months, over the next 6 months, we're going to see some turbulence in the market. I think there's going to be a lot of different news out there as well for many different things.
The words we're going to hear in the news are inflation, recession.
Yeah.
And job loss.
And a little bit of job losses,
Yes.
absolutely. And where the job losses are going to come from, I think the indication is a lot of the job losses are going to come from the manufacturing side of the things as opposed to the services side of the things. Because what happened during COVID was all the services were shut down. So what were people doing? We were spending money on buying things.
Yeah.
Pretty much. We were basically ordering online,
Yeah.
Stuff. And nobody was spending money on services. And then in 2022, that equation started to change a little bit. We were spending more money on services such as traveling and eating out and all that kind of stuff. And now we're going to start seeing is because of that. I think we're going to start seeing people spending less money on products.
Yes.
So
that
that may creep into some job losses in the manufacturing side of things. But again, I'm literally paraphrasing what the economists are saying.
Okay. So let's quickly chat about what are we seeing. So I know that you were working in downtown with a client, in downtown Toronto with a client. Like, what was the sentiment there?
So we've been working over the last about 4 weeks or so. We've been working in downtown, and we're also working in some of the other pockets within in the West GTA area, Milton being one of them.
Okay.
So, when the year started, we thought it's going to be a very quiet January.
Yeah.
But I think we're seeing something totally different at the moment. I don't know whether it's a pattern, or it is just a little bit of a bump.
Okay.
In terms of people getting excited about coming out of December, coming out of all the bad news
Yeah.
that we've been hearing over the last eight months or so.
New year, new resolution, new decisions.
That's exactly it.
I know.
Milton, for example, just to give you an example, homes under $1 million, multiple offers again.
Oh yeah.
That's what we are seeing. Toronto downtown condominium market I believe, still is a little slow.
Mm-hmm.
There might still be a little bit of correction coming.
Okay.
But again, when you look at the downtown area, when you look at all these condominium buildings, every building carries a very different value.
Absolutely.
And your return on the investment as well. We call it, every building has its own community. So you have to look at it from that perspective. Yeah. What are you seeing?
Same thing for me. Like I was recently, I just sold in a Etobicoke area, in the Mimico area, and same thing. Like we were working with a client to help them buy a townhouse, and every townhouse we would touch is under $1 million. It was sold in a day and a half, 2 days. So it was busy. Definitely, I did go to one of the a few of the open houses as well there. And same thing, it was super busy.
Yeah.
And I think that was the sentiment that we gathered from our office meeting generally as well, that all the agents are saying that it is active, active. And one thing that, I did notice that, it's not just active in a certain price point, it's active in many different like the higher end, we're seeing sales happening. I'm seeing a lot of new listings coming out, of course, which is very normal for January. But they are moving. So
So there are many things that are happening. Obviously we had the foreign buyers ban that came into effect. We have obviously everything else we just talked about as well on top of it. But at the same time, immigration is still very strong. I think that's going to be the X factor. We keep talking about it, but I think that is the X factor, at least in the market that we serve, where a lot of people are coming in. People are still bringing wealth into Canada, and people are coming with a lot of experience, a lot of education, that are going to eventually become part of the job market. So, long story short, based on the analysis of the economists and what we are seeing, I think we're going to be seeing all kinds of different aspects of the market. But we are
heading in the right direction. That's all that I am gathering from everything. Inflation's coming down, jobs are going to be overall steady, immigration is strong, and these are the factors that carry all of the above.
And real estate at the end of the day is never a short-term play, it's always a long-term play. If you want to put things in perspective. That's what we always look at as well. That's what we always advise our clients as well. Is there a right time to buy? Is there a right time to sell? The right time is when you're ready to buy or sell.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day.
Anyways, I think we've dragged it really long today, and thank you guys.